Hey everyone, it's archetypes, and today we're taking a look at the expanded format in the Pokemon TCG. We're taking a look on Pokecard Book, which has expanded data. Because if you look at it in a Limitless here, we select the format of expanded, and let's say within the past 12 months, there's nothing. So, yeah, expanded format, if you're not familiar, is a format that is obviously it's not standard, right? That's the other format, which is the main format that people play. Expanded has cards from Black and White on. So if we look at Limitless here, actually, if we I believe look at Japan, Limitless only has the expanded legal, essentially Japanese cards here. So Black and White and on. So the oldest set would be, well, the oldest set's Black and White, right? So your Black and White. When you have the X and Y era, you have the Sun and Moon era, you have the Sword and Shield era, you have Scarlet and Violet era, which we have some Scarlet and Violet cards in Standard, probably the better cards. And then you have the Mega era, which we're currently in as well. So it has all the newest cards. There are some bans as well. Oops, will this show it up? Or show the cards? Yeah, so these are the banned cards. I've talked about them some in the past. It's a weird set of cards, but regardless, we can, if you look here, you can see there's a bunch of control cards and like pseudo control cards, which is a theme in expanded. You look at standard, you look at a deck, and you see that it's running, a main Pokemon line, which is what you'll see in expanded some too, kind of. But then you also see that this deck runs high copies of supporters, and also it runs some like situational support Pokemon, and like some tech attackers. You have a little bit of disruption, but not usually too much disruption. You see a Judge, an Unfair Stamp, Special Rate Card, three Crushing Hammer. This is an average list if you're wondering why some stuff looks weird here. And, it's nothing too crazy. Team Mark's Watchtower as well being a disruptive card. But if we look at Expanded, we will see a bit more disruption here. We also see more toolbox style decks as well. A toolbox style deck, or sometimes referred to as a box deck. So if we look at the decks online here on Play Limitless, we'll probably see, let's see, there's got to be some box. So we got Mega Absol box. We have Basic box. I don't actually know what this is. We have Terra box. Basic box is sometimes referred to as slot box, I think, but I'm not 100% sure what it defines it on Play Limitless here. I guess it's Ogerpon and Clefairy, but regardless, you see a box deck having different attacking options. I'm not going to go fully into the decks here. Also, unfortunately, Pokemon Book doesn't have very high image quality on the deck list, so yeah. Regardless, we have the first deck here, which by far is the most played deck, or is the best deck in Expanded, and it's also Dragon, just like in Standard, where the best deck by far is a Dragon deck. But it's Regidrago VSTAR, which is not this one. Here it is from Silver Tempest, a really interesting card with the attack Apex Dragon for 3 energy, 2 for grass, 1 which is fire. You choose an attack from a Dragon Pokemon in your discard and use it as this attack. And again, if you play Expanded, you are very familiar with this, but it's not played very commonly. I can count the games of Expanded I've seen in person on one hand. In fact, I believe I can count them on one finger. I've seen just one. I think ever, maybe more than that. I'm not sure, but it is very rare. Obviously, Starins play a lot, and I've seen some like GLC as well. Though certainly a lot less GLC than Expanded. It's a bit of a has a bit of I say a cult following, and it is a cool format there. And then I have seen Expanded, or I've played Expanded on live. Oh, by the way, I didn't say this. If you played Expanded on live but haven't played it in person or aren't familiar, the live Expanded is only containing some of the cards that you see in full expanded. Is missing a handful, which I will talk about. But Regidrago VSTAR is in live expanded, and again, it copies of Dragon Pokemon in your discard pile. Also has a VSTAR power. I'm not going to dive into that in this video, though I suppose tell me in the comment section of this video if there's anything you want me to, well, no pun intended, expand on in expanded, like VSTARs or the trainers or whatever, right? There's definitely a lot of pretty interesting stuff in expanded and even in standard, and I could even compare the two. But regardless, we have Regidrago as the main attacker, and you're copying some different attacks. I'm not going to go over them too much here. It varies obviously some deck per deck. Also, these are all tournament-winning decks in relatively small tournaments, but they are all tournament-winning decks. So you see Dragon Ball EX, unsurprisingly, it is very good. I don't know where it ranks all time in terms of decks. I did this with Uncommon Fossil, and it was definitely a really interesting debate there and discussion. But regardless, we see that Dragon Ball EX is in the deck because it is very good. And then we see Dialga GX, which is also very good because it allows you to take an extra turn and does a bunch of damage. It's quite good as an attack. It's a once per game attack. We see Kyurem, which we actually see in standard, paired with mostly Slowking, and it does some spread stuff. And you see some other defensive attackers. We also defensive attackers that you can use with Regidrago. You also see defensive attacks you can use. You see Badu here. We also see Garbodor, and we see, let's see other things like it. We have Silent Lab. We have yeah, those are the things. Let me scroll through this list real quick to see if I see anything else like it. We see Wobbuffet, we see Path of the Peak, and we see I think there's one other that's played, maybe? I could be wrong. Mostly looking at these, though, that are going to either ability lock, most of those are ability lock, some item lock your opponent as well. Oh, Noivern EX kind of does that. Noivern GX definitely does that as well. So you're looking at some different defensive options to really shut your opponent down in some combination of some types of like lock there. And that's a big part of Expanded. You see Badu in Standard, and it's a pretty solid card for item lock, but you're not seeing lock as a key part of most decks, but in Expanded you do see it as like a really big thing that you're playing around and with at different points in the game through the use of like stadiums like Team Mark's Watchtower. I mentioned that in Standard. Team Mark's Watchtower is a solid card in Standard, but not broken. And Path of the Peak in Expanded and also Silent Lab. These cards are just kind of crazy. They are not, I guess, objectively better than Team Rocket's Watchtower, but they are better than Team Rocket's Watchtower by a lot, shutting down most of the or a lot of the top abilities in the format. And so it's definitely interesting to see. But obviously, our stamps they are double-sided. Same thing with Garbodor and Ability Lock Pokemon. Then we also see the draw package, or we see the Pokemon support package. We see Lattice EX, which we see in Standard. We also see Pheasantipti EX, which we see in Standard, alongside Tapu Lele GX, which is the same as Meowth EX, essentially. It is Psychic. You can actually search it with the item card Mysterious Treasure, which searches Psychic and Dragon Pokemon, which works super well. Dragon obviously being the core of the deck, and then you also look and you see Psychic being really just probably historically, including Expanded, the best type in the Pokemon TCG. And then you see Danae GX, a good support Pokemon alongside Crobat V with these powerful on-play draw abilities. You can kind of mix and match these to get some really crazy powerful turns, but at the same time, they are all liabilities. If you played Meowth EX in Standard, you are aware of that, and honestly, it's a reason why in Standard I'm not the biggest Meowth EX fan, not because it's not like bad, but I mean, honestly, it's a card I haven't ended up using anywhere near as much as I thought because it is a big liability. So that's an interesting thing there as well. Then we also see the items. We see Ultra Ball. We also see Quick Ball, which is similar. You discard one card from your hand, search for any basics. So it's a very good card there as well. And then Mysterious Treasure, which I mentioned. Hisuian Heavy Ball is another cool card, which I do want to talk about, which gets stuff out of your prizes. It is not a ball search card, really, though it does have the word ball in it, which could matter, I guess. And then you see that this card gets any basic out of your prizes, which gives you a lot more options getting into your prizes compared to Standard, where it's kind of rough. You're looking at Exchange Ticket, which is not great. I've definitely played more than I'd like to, more Exchange Ticket than I probably would have liked. Then we see Versus Seeker and Battle Compressor. It's just a 2 Versus Seeker, 1 Battle Compressor in this list. Which is interesting because, or like Battle Compressor is really good. It's a card that people talk about as being broken, and it is kind of broken, though it's only broken in some decks, as opposed to something like probably like Today in GX, which is kind of broken in like every deck, which maybe being broken in some decks is potentially a worse thing for a format. But regardless, it lets you search for any 3 cards and put them into your discard pile and then shuffle on an item. It's similar to the A-Spec card in Standard, which is is it called? I'm blanking on the name. It's played in Serial Edge sometimes, though not usually. Let me find this real quick. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. Brilliant Blender. There we go. Which searches for 5 cards and discards them, but you don't really need 5 cards usually. It's again played sometimes in Serial Edge. It's like okay, but Battle Compressor is pretty much as good as Brilliant Blender, but it's not an A-Spec there. It allows you to then recover those cards instantly with something like with Versus Seeker, which gets back supporters as well. Versus Seeker is also really interesting here. Okay, I will say it is interesting. The deck runs almost all one of supporters, which is mostly because of Versus Seeker allowing you to play a toolbox of supporters, which is really cool, as well as Tapu Lele GX, but like you can do that in Standard with Meowth as well. There are more outs to Tapu Lele and Expanded. In this list, you run 9, it looks like, unlike Standard with Meowth, where you have presumably 4. that are like, these good item search cards. But regardless, then you can run a lot of different one-of supporters, which is interesting, and it allows you to have really just like this interesting resource management toolbox thing going on, which again, it's just super cool there. And we see different supporters. We see like just powerful supporters. Obviously, Liz's Determination, which is very good, as well as Guzno, which is like Boss's Orders. It's actually a little bit better. It's not drastically better, but a little bit better there. And then we see some Energy Acceleration supporters. I will say Energy Acceleration within this deck is somewhat mediocre. Oh, okay, it's not mediocre. It plays double Dragon Energy. By the way, double Dragon Energy is kind of broken. I'm not going to lie. Like, actually broken. I don't know the likelihood of it getting banned, but I would not be completely shocked if it gets banned. I don't think there's any other card in any format or like between standard or expanded that's closer than Double Dragon. I think there have been cards that have been less deserving of a ban than Double Dragon, a good chunk in expanded, to be honest, that have been banned. So I would not be shocked, but it's been a while and it hasn't been banned. Maybe it's getting, the longer this goes on, the more likely it will be to be banned. But regardless, what it is it's what it sounds like, which is 2 energy of every type, but only 2 energy at a time. And it is Dragon Pokemon that it works on. So it is obviously quite good there. That being said, it doesn't pay for Regidrago's attacks, so you need some acceleration. We see the Crispin, which you can use there, as well as you see Raihan as well. And then you see other like disruptive supporters. You see just, I think, an interesting lineup of supporters. Obviously, the best of all time. You got Lilies and Stand, as I said, but then you have some other ones that, again, I'm not going to dive into too much today, but they are just essentially better versions of standard supporters. We also see an interesting card here with Pokemon Ranger, a countery card. Same thing with you look at Stealthy Hood, I think is the name of it, as well as something like there are things like Badoo, which have like counter, obviously, like they stop certain things, they enable you to do some things as well if your opponent is using some item to mess with you. Or I guess more likely an ability to stop you from doing something. You have this like really interesting back and forth. I don't know if those are the best examples, to be honest, but Pokemon Ranger, Pokemon Ranger stops Badoo, allowing you to then play your items. There we go. That's the thing that I should have said. You also see an interesting ace spec here, which is not the ace spec played in standard like at all, which is Megaton Blower. If you're not familiar with this ace spec, it's a card that discards all special energy tools and stadiums in play. And I was talking a lot about how a lot of these things are really powerful and really disrupting your opponent as well. So overall, Megaton Blower being the ace spec, I can't even find it. Here it is. It's really interesting. And obviously, I've spent a lot of time on Regidrago here. It is the best deck, but also it shows you a lot of the ideas of expanded, which again, I imagine a lot of you are not familiar with. It's not played in person. It's like played some, and it's played a little on live. It's played on live, but not as much as standard, certainly. But on top of that, it also, it's I don't know. You don't see you obviously don't see official tournaments for it very much, and not internationally. Oh, I guess I will say there are some differences between Japan and internationally with the format, but they're very minor. So did want to mention that if someone sometimes people are like, oh, it's super different. It's not that different. It's slightly different. But regardless, expanded is cool, but again, a very different experience there. But this really wraps up a lot of it. Then we move on to there's Floatstone as well. Floatstone, it gives you free retreat. It's like Air Balloon, but it's better. And there's more like disruption and stuff that is cool, but certainly not for everyone as well. Then we move on to Lugia VSTAR. Lugia VSTAR puts into play the Pokemon Archeops, which Archeops once per turn accelerates, and it puts into play 2 Archeops once during the game. So you have 2 Archeops in play, and with those 2 Archeops, each one accelerates 2 special energies from your deck to your Pokemon. Special energies are very good and expanded. You have a bunch of them. Obviously, Double Dragon, as you can see here, is the main one you're focusing on, which is why Lugia and Regidrago, as far as I'm aware, are like by far the top 2 decks. I'm pretty sure Regidrago is by far the top. I know Mega Absol is like decent as well. There's a major tournament. I believe Mega Absol won it, the most recent major tournament, which again, you don't see these too often. There used to be some internationally. They stopped it after. I don't know, at one point they just decided to stop it because people didn't care that much about it, and it was kind of weird having some major tournaments in expanded and some in standard. But again, we see Double Dragon and Lugia here, just accelerating a bunch of Double Dragon energy onto your board, which is good, as well as double color synergy. Both of those cards are very good. And you can power up some different Pokemon. You're looking at different Dragon Pokemon. Here, you're looking at Pokemon that are basics, so you can get them into play. They are all basics, and we actually see Megalodias, which is underrated in Standard, in my opinion, as well as Kyurem. Well, I don't know if Megalodias is that underrated. It's probably not that good, but it's you can attack turn 1 going second with it in Standard pretty easily. We see some different Pokemon that can just beat up your opponent and stuff pretty efficiently. And we see Silent Lab, and that's going to stop him. Also, Wally, which is a supporter that was banned and is now no longer banned. Something that is interesting to see. They have taken cards off the ban list. You see his next list running a Liz Clefairy EX, still a pretty solid card and expanded here, obviously, with Regidrago being very good, as well as these other Dragon Pokemon within some of the other decks, specifically mostly looking at like Archops here. It is really interesting to see that, you know, we still see lilies and the same type being very dominant for a pretty different reason, but it is still interesting to see here. We also see Mew EX, which was something we used to see in Standard when that was in Standard, to do some stuff paired with Liz Clefairy EX. So overall, some pretty interesting stuff that are parallel to Standard. Also, there's special charge letting you recover special energy, a really cool card. And there's also the card, I think there's one other card I want to talk. I mean, Secret Box is interesting. It is, I say, a better expanded card than Standard, or I'd say it fits better into expanded than Standard. We also see Carmen having a home here. We see we do see Wally again, allowing you to evolve quickly as well. So just some interesting things here that are just cool, I would say. Quite simply expanded is pretty cool there. We also see, I will say, Skyfield, which is cool. It is very similar to Air Zero Under Depths, but it is pretty cool there. And Air Zero Under Depths is cool. I'd say it's more interesting because some of the terrors are kind of cool. But I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Obviously, well, as I say, obviously Skyfield is better. Is that true? Skyfield can be used by both players, though. Air Zero Under Depths, it can't necessarily be used by both players very easily. Then we see the next deck here. This is actually a lightning bait. Oh, this is interesting. So this is pitch black. I'm not going to lie. So I like glanced at this before recording, but didn't look super in depth at this list of cards before recording. And so wasn't, and also like when I glanced, okay, well, I will say it is kind of late at the time of recording this, as it has been with a lot of my recent videos, so sorry about that. So I might have just missed it as well, but it runs Voltaic Lightning Energy as a big part of it, which is 20 extra damage with your Lightning Pokemon. Really interesting to see it here. We got to see Pikachu EX. Pikachu EX, obviously in Standard, capable of doing pretty big damage, not one-shotting everything. Though, let's be honest, in Expanded, it's one-shotting pretty much everything without the buff, but you can buff it. And then you can buff your Iron Hands EX as well to take big knockouts and take extra prizes. So that's really cool to see here. And I guess you can attack with the Deny GX and Paralyze or something like that as well if you want to. We see a toolboxy basic list. This one runs Speed Lightning Energy, which is a cool special Lightning Energy. Honestly, both Speed Lightning Energy and Voltaic Lightning Energy, they're both kind of crazy. And it runs Pikachu and Zekrom. I don't know how good that is in Expanded, but it can do some really flashy stuff. I guess with the GX stack, it's pretty cool. And then also we see, I do want to say, Speed Lightning Energy does not work with the Archeops. I mean, you can accelerate it, right? But it is not, it's an on play from hand. So do keep that in mind, I suppose, if you were wondering about that. Voltaic Lightning Energy is just like an effect on the Pokemon. So accelerating it with the Archeops there works pretty well, just like with Powerful Colorless Energy, if you're familiar with that. But I'd say Lightning is a bit better than Colorless. I mean, you know, Colorless, you see more generic and I'd say somewhat mediocre attackers for the most part. I mean, when you see these Lugia lists, you mostly see the Colorless Pokemon being Lugia and Archeops there. We just see one boss and we see one Guzman Assault and we see Professor Burnout, which is interesting to see here. A supporter that's just like theoretically so much worse than Battle Compressor, discards less cards. They are only looking to discard 2 really. And then also it is a card that it's a supporter, so that should be worse, but it is searchable off of Lumineon V and Tapu Lele GX. Also, I don't know why it runs both. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Actually, never mind. You can attack with Lumineon, but then Tapu Lele won't get shut off by Wobbuffet, is my thought there. And I guess they are just different attacks as well. Tapu Lele's attack's not terrible. Lumineon V, though, is a Pokemon that is able to... you can get out of play and then reuse it, which is cool. It's something that was used relatively frequently when Lugia was in Standard with Lumineon. Then we see this list here, nothing crazy there. We see Mega Absol now. Mega Absol EX is a card I definitely underrated when it was revealed, alongside other people. I will say, at some point, tell me if you want me to do this video, but where like I go over my predictions and how many of them were right and wrong. This is one I was wrong about. I will say I wasn't like extra wrong about it. I was like no one else was really talking about it either, being super good. So well, it is a miss by me. It's not some crazy miss. But regardless, you have Mega Absol EX here with the second attack disrupting your opponent's hand and being pretty tanky as well, and doing good damage. And then we see Garbodor here, which ability locks your opponent and you, but that's not too bad. Also runs Oranguru V. This is the same engine that was used in Cloth Trap. I guess remember when that was in standard. That was an interesting engine, a bit of a weird engine. I'm not gonna lie, but a cool engine letting you like search tools and then this is actually really cool. So you have 4 Sealstone. Well, it's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, the tools aren't that cool. You can reduce your retreat to nothing, which you can do with a lot of anyways, and then you can also do some extra damage, and then you can like search once per game. But it is interesting that you can then go ahead and return the tools to your hand with Shopping Center, a really interesting stadium there. Also, we see more control stuff with the other stadium, Template Center, or Pseudo Control is what I'll describe it as. And then we see Sex List, nothing too crazy. Oh, you do have Dark Patch, though, which does allow you to accelerate an attack pretty quickly as well. They're looking to attack turn 2 with, you're probably going to boost Shake turn 1, I think. You see Miraidon EX is a lightning deck. This is not running the new special energy. The lightning stuff is really interesting. I'm not going to dive into it really in this video. Obviously, I dived into the stuff in Lugia, but didn't dive into, I'm not going to dive into the other stuff. Yeah, Tapu Koko, which accelerates the stadium, which lets you attack easier, and then you have some other acceleration and damage boosting stuff. It's pretty cool. Again, I think I dove into a little bit there real quick, but you got some really powerful cards there. The lightning Pokemon themselves are somewhat mediocre. I mean, they're not bad by any means. You look at Miraidon EX, which sets you up and is a mediocre attacker. You look at Iron Hands, which lets you take an extra prize, though its damage ain't great. You look at Iron Thorns, obviously probably not in standard. It's disruptive, it's decent. Its damage isn't so decent. Vikable is another disruptive Pokemon with pretty bad damage. And we see Zekrom EX as well, which is interesting. A card that doesn't really see much play, but it's cool. We see Gardevoir EX. This one actually runs 2 Mega Gardevoir EX. Also, it runs the single prize Gardevoir, which doubles your Psychic Energy. It runs this Chimecha, which I always forget what this card does. I've like seen it from time to time. Okay, I do want to also mention, now this brings back memories of looking at lists on PokeCop Book that were just pictures, like pictures of someone's like deck on their playmat, and it was impossible to see their cards because they were like covered up. So I think I saw this card and I didn't know what it was. But yeah, this stops your opponent playing Pokemon that have abilities. An interesting disruptive card there. You see, if you play Gardevoir EX when it was in standard, you see like Screamtail, and you see some normal stuff within that deck. But we also see a lot of different things, enabling lots of different gameplay patterns, big damage and tankiness as well to some extent, and then a lot of disruption as well, as I said, which you see in a lot of these different decks. You see this other list here with some similar ideas, some differences as well. We see Ancient Pox, which is interesting, not what I was expecting to see. I guess just a pretty solid single price deck. We actually see Skwovet, my beloved. Actually, I don't know, Skwovet was a cool card, but I don't know. I honestly, I really wish it was in standard for the no cards in hand stuff. I liked it more for the shenanigans than with the barrel stuff. But regardless, you got Ancient Pox here, which is a cool deck. I suppose it's not the coolest deck. Also, you can technically play in standard. Well, not really. You can like play parts of it in standard. But Professor's Vitality is very good. The deck is pretty interesting. Or it's like somewhat interesting. Interesting to see it expanded as well here. Obviously, this is just one person playing and winning a tournament. Then we see, oh wow, we see Turbo Item Lock, I guess I'll call it, with Jellicent EX, or Turbo Jellicent. You can get it up turn 1, going first here. You can just Item Lock, and then your opponent can't like do anything, and then they're sad. And that's that. They're also Tool Locked, which is another thing. Although it used to not be another thing, but that's for another video, which I might have made in the past. But I guess subscribe just in case I make it again, or just subscribe because it's cool to do and like and stuff. Also Grabber, yeah, you're gonna grab your opponent, and then they're gonna like not have any Pokemon, and they can't play any items to find Pokemon. And they can't use any abilities because of Silent Lab, and then they leave, or something like that. So then we see Shadow Rider doing some cool stuff, kind of like Gardevoir. Shadow Rider is kind of like Gardevoir. I'd say it's a little more, I guess, low to the ground, easier to power up, but it is a 3-prizer there. It's like Zadu, actually. If you're familiar with Zadu, Shadow Rider is very similar to Zadu, which probably sounds not that good. I'm honestly, I was honestly surprised how much better Shadow Rider is than Zadu, but now that I think about it, in standard, which one was better? Shadowrun was amazing when it came out, and then was pretty bad. Zadu was pretty bad for quite a while, but with like Slowking and stuff, it came along and was pretty decent. Again, my gut says Shadow Rider like by far, but then the more I thought about it, maybe not. But mostly Radiant Turn just as well, a cool card. Then we see Reggie's one of the last decks here. This is like a weird combo-y deck. I think I mentioned it when I talked about Enamorous, or the trio that or like what's trio but for four? I don't know. I should definitely know this. Again, it is late when I'm recording, so I am a little tired, but also I just don't think I know that word off the top of my head or at all. But regardless, I mentioned it with those guys, and it's similar. The Reggies are interesting. You can do some crazy stuff, where you can power up just the Reggies. Oh, and it looks like it's built around Regieleki mostly, with the new Special Lightning energy as well, which is pretty cool, and some like snipe stuff, including Wide Lens, which is a card, and Bicycle, which is an awesome card. And Battle VIP Pass, which is a not awesome card. I don't like that card. Then we see Ledge. It's pretty unexpanded. You can get it up going turn 1 with Salvatore. Not 100% sure why I play Salvatore and not Wally. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like cheaper or something like that. That could be the reason they're pretty much the same. But maybe your opponent can copy it. I don't know. Is there some way in which your opponent can copy it? I feel like there's an Oranguru actually that can do it. I played that card. It's bad. Then we see Briar as well, a card I said I forgot about. Like it's still in standard. I like consistently forget about it. But yeah, I mean, you can just get energy in this card super easily. The fire stuff, I haven't even talked about the fire stuff in expanded. Fire isn't that good, but fire support package is so good. There's so many powerful support packages and expanded for each type, unsurprisingly. I think each type has stuff. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'll do that as a video. That could be interesting. And then we look at Chimpao. Speaking of support packages, you got like some pretty good water stuff, I suppose. And you see like Dive Ball, which isn't in the deck. And then we see that you have like Radiant Greninja, a really nice Pokemon. I haven't talked about it in this video yet, but it's just a good attacker. And Kyogre as well. Kyogre is a weird card, but a pretty interesting card where you really need to go pretty aggressively. Execute as well, another cool card, which it allows you to recover it from the discard into your hand as much as you want. This is good because it allows you to just go ahead and get the amount of cards in your hand you want. It would be really useful for something like the no cards in hand deck, allowing you to Ultra Ball more and like Prism Tower and stuff like that. But it's pretty interesting there. And you have just, some really cool things in general. Then we see Goldengo. Goldengo, a deck that recently rotated. Pretty much you can go ahead. This is actually pretty similar to how it looks in Standard. I'm not going to lie. I'm not sure why it is 3 Iron either. That seems kind of sketchy. But regardless, you have Goldengo, which obviously, you discard energy, you do big damage. Kind of like Ledge, but not the same as Ledge, obviously. Exactly. And we see this card. I don't know this card. This weird, mysterious pink energy. That if there's another type, that means there's not 10 types, there's 11, and that just can't be right, right? Anyways, then we got Tatsugiri, Delphox. Okay. How did this deck win? Like, yes, I know these tournaments aren't the most serious, but like, what? So this is Tatsugiri EX, turn 1, going second. Wait, I was say turn 1 we can Tatsugiri. Sorry. You turn 1, go second, use Sparkling Crystal, Tatsugiri, Double Dragon Energy. It's not that hard to power up. Then you got Hydreigon EX, Mega Delphox EX. Mega Delphox EX gets more Pokemon into play, right? That's like the thing it does. Its other attack isn't very good. And you have Cinderace. You have, I guess you can technically use the second attack relatively easily as well using Super Boost energy, but also it's like not that good. I don't know. If someone knows, I mean, it's got Vileplume as well for control. I've seen Tatsugiri control be interesting, I guess, but this doesn't seem good. Like, this seems bad. But this is like a silly deck, right? Surely. Then we see a turbo. I don't know if turbo, but like just dueling like direct knockout deck with use of Dusknoir, and then also some other like just spread stuff through the use of abilities. And this is similar to the deck that got banned with Metacham V, which is again, I don't know if that deck was that good. And I don't think Metacham V should have been banned. It's a little hard to say because I've seen it in play once or twice. And like there's one video, someone like a few people are like talking about where they're like, this is why it's banned, and the other person just like bricked, and Medicham V deck was like pretty mediocre. But regardless, yeah, that's what we got here. Oh, sorry, not Medicham V. But we see the other stuff that was paired with Medicham V doing a bunch of damage counters and knockouts and stuff, and really powerful, though knocking yourself out as well. We see this actually a few times here, as powerful deck, and Gecko Mimikyu just literally says your opponents can't play any cards next turn, though it is a once per game effect. It's very similar to Dialga GX in that, or it's similar to Dialga GX in that regard. And we see Mega Lopunny doing normal Mega Lopunny stuff, pretty efficient stuff. We see Groudon Kyogre. This deck is, I'm not gonna lie, this deck is pretty bad, or presumably this deck's like bad. I have not really seen it in Expanded. I've certainly seen it in Standard, where it's a gimmicky meme deck. Not the worst deck ever, but it's not great. But it's kind of funny there. We see Crash Awake, a pretty cool card, I'm not going to lie. For this deck, a card I wasn't even thinking about. But regardless, in Expanded, got some interesting stuff. So tell me your thoughts on this in the comment section. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff. Huge shout out to my YouTube members as well for supporting the channel. But I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.